Hello everyone, this is Husky here. I am going to be casting a 1 versus 1 between our red Zerg player MTW Dimaga spawning down here in the bottom right side, and his opponent is going to be the yellow Terran. His name is HAPPY, also known as Happy. Now, this game is including two players that a lot of people have requested I cast. Long-term, people have always requested I cast more Dimaga just because he is awesome, a total baller, and he goes way, way, way back in StarCraft. He's been playing it, I'm pretty sure, over 10 years. If not, he's definitely been playing it since Brood War days and was very successful in that, in the Foreigner scene. And Happy is something that a lot of players have requested as of late because of his outstanding Marine micro that we've witnessed before on my channel, and so I am going to be that's why I decided to select this game next, was just because, well, there's two fan favorites in here. One kind of an older school player, one more of a recently more popular player. Now, he is really, really popular right now, and part of the reason is, oh, look, I have his stats right here in front of me. He is currently ranked #1 on the European servers at the time of casting this. Very difficult to hold that #1 spot consistently, but he has done it. Currently ranked number 29 in the world, but I would be careful judging the world rankings because I think they aren't as accurate as they should be. So, but either way, no matter what the ranking system is, it's hard to be 29th unless it's the world's worst player, like top 29 worst players. That would be pretty easy to be in. But yeah, so he's currently ranked #1 on the European servers, and look at this win-loss ratio. 674 wins, 145 losses. You guys guessed it, that is exactly an 82.30% win rate. He is winning over 80% of his games. 80%! That means out of every 10 games, he is winning over 8. That is, my mind is blown. I don't even know how you'd be that good. What is going on over here? A slight bunker rush. I don't think this is going to be very effective as the drone is off the line. He's got his little boxing gloves on. I feel like drones should just be boxers, man. Because look, you can put gloves on these little things. They're just punching away, having fun. They used to they used to actually spit. I think it was acid, but now they decided, well, that was way too gross, so we're going to start punching things. And looks like one Marine will get down here. The spawning pool is not even done yet, so we may be able to kill a couple of drones here. Dimaga going to have to micro immediately. The bunker going down again. This SCV only has 5 HP, could easily get pincered to death. Now, these drones do have a mouthful of minerals, so it's very difficult to punch something while your mouth is full of rocks. But so far, Dimaga only losing 1 drone. Does need to be careful here, and it looks like the harassment from Happy is going to continue. He has not brought down additional SCVs, so I think that it's just going to be see how much damage he can do with 2 Marines, and then, you know, kind of leave after that. And also, he did delay the mining and also force the drones off of the mineral line. We do have a factory with the reactor on the way, so we will see lots of Hellions on the field, and that could prove to be surprisingly effective. Imagine if somehow he had this factory like over here with the reactor. Now, that wouldn't really happen, but if he did, these Hellions would have been in the Berserk base so quickly. The Overlord's going to spot this and say, guys, I hope you are preparing for Hellions back there, because that is exactly what is going to be headed that way. Dimaga wisely putting creep right here. If you're wondering why he's doing that instead of using the inject larva, it's because against those Hellions, man, you need to be able to move your queens and Zerglings as quickly as possible anywhere. And the Hellions, they are about to arrive with that rally point set to the left, so they will run directly to that Zerg player's base, and we will see if Dimaga is going to be prepared for it. He feels comfortable enough to go straight to lair tech, and he does have his metabolic boost on the way. 2 more Hellions being constructed. It looks like they're going to swing by the watchtower, see if they can spot anything. And there is going to be the 1 spine crawler here. Now, the spine crawler could kill this. I believe he canceled that creep tumor. Yes, he did. The Hellion's going to try and sneak in here. The queen, though, going to prevent that from happening. The tree getting killed by the creep could get set on fire as well. What a humiliating way to die as a tree. That is just not fair. But the metabolic boost will be done before the 2 other Hellions can arrive. So will Dimaga, or will Happy be able to do damage here, or will Dimaga hold off 2 more Hellions on the way? Is going to lift this off. We'll probably swap this out with a bunker. That's exactly what he's doing. And I don't know if he's going to go for blue flame or not, because, I mean, he's completely revealed exactly what he's going for, and that is a lot of Hellions. So as long as we get some units on the field for Dimaga to deal with it, he will be absolutely fine. Now, 33 drones and 22 SCVs. We could see a lot of drones go down. We are indeed seeing that. These units are completely clumped up. However, the Hellion's getting completely trapped are not going to do as much damage as they could. That was, usually Happy has really good control, but I gotta hand it to Dimaga. He just beefed his way there. Now, he did lose a lot of drones. I mean, if you look at the workers killed, he did lose 8, which at 7 minutes into a game, that is devastating, but he spent the majority of his larva on those drones anyway, so that's why now he is even in the supply count as far as workers go. We have an infestation pit on the way. Dimaga, what are you up to? He is up to something sneaky. This is a quick infestation pit. Got to be going straight for the pathogen glands, which means he will be able to fungal growth right out of the gate. He will be going against siege tanks, though, which siege tanks pretty darn good against those infestors, just because the range on them is really, really good. Now, that was a lot of action right away, and I wanted to talk about Dimaga just a tiny bit more. He is ranked really high as well. He has 155 wins, 50 losses, and he is only ranked here, I say sarcastically, ranked 182nd, so he is in the top 200, and world rank is top 1,000 with 75.6% win rate. My guess is that he's been practicing with his teammates a lot, but at the same time, being top 200 with a 75% win rate, that's good, man. So he definitely does not mess around, and is not messing around in this game, taking his third base, it looks like, at around the 10-minute mark, even though there's that destructible debris there. I guess destructible rocks if in this case, but he is going to be expanding there. Now, a Zerg player usually wants to expand around the 10-minute mark, but on this map, Tal'Darim Altar, sometimes that's difficult simply because of those rocks, and especially if you can keep putting pressure on a Zerg player, preventing him from being able to kill those, it can just be so frustrating. But Dimaga says, rocks schmocks, I'm going to go ahead and expand already. So he's playing this out very smart. Happy is going to be sitting back and turtling, getting his characteristic Marines here. We'll see if he's going to be going against Banelings. However, I mean, a lot of players, like we're seeing Dimaga doing it right now, a lot of players are opting not even to get Banelings because the Infestors basically come with a built-in Baneling. It's called Fungal Growth. The damage is a little bit over time, but it's a guaranteed hit if you click correctly and the Marines are out of place. So it looks like Happy, not happy to sit back and be timid and let the Zerg player take the map. He is instead going to spread out here. Could easily go for the creep tumors. He is indeed. He's going to leave the creep tumor, though, that can spread the creep even further. He is going to do a lot of damage. Look at how much he's splitting up these units to take them out. However, the Fungal Growth's got to trap all this. Couple of Infested Terrans here. It does look like one Infestor will go down, but they were able to do a lot of damage there with that Fungal Growth. It looks like 5 kills on each of the 2 remaining ones, so definitely going to be worth it there. Even a Spine Crawler going to be going down on the high ground for Dimaga. Going to continue poking away here a little bit, although it may get taken out first. It gets 1 poke off before dying, and this Infestor is very sad because Siege Tanks outrange those Infestors quite easily. Look at this, a range of 13. Got to run a Queen over here to try and poke these Death Zerglings. We'll be able to clean this up, and Dimaga cleaning that up extremely effectively. The only survivor is a Medevac and a Marine. They're probably going to go home and get married because they have been through a lot together. So Happy really not able to do a lot of damage here. I mean, the units lost is fairly even. The difference being, though, is that Dimaga able to get his expansion, really not losing that very costly of units in those engagements. So, I mean, it's really kind of worked out for him so far. And on top of that, he does have the 1 attack and 1 armor upgrade nearly completed, which means that his gas has been going to Infestors and that attack armor upgrade. I mean, I'm noticing a lot, kind of basically a trend in Zerg games is that they're starting to get a lot of Infestors because they're so good versus Marines, especially in Terran versus Zerg. I mean, obviously, there would only be Marines in a Terran versus Zerg, but in any matchup, they're just good against the lower-tier units that a lot of players tend to mass up. So Happy trying to go against this by getting the Siege Tanks, and also this is a standard build against Banelings as well, and it's just really difficult for Terran players to deal with this right now. You can see right now Happy is going to be behind on upgrades, doesn't have a single +1 attack upgrade, and it does look like the Zergling is going to completely lock down this army. That did not go in his favor at all. I think he did very minimal damage there. May not have been able to even kill a single Infestor. There's that. I wonder if that's the same Medevac. Not sure. But regardless, Dimaga, man, on fire. Using those Infestors. He has Hive Tech on the way already. Could easily start to take his 4th base as well. I mean, look at how many resources he has. He has a distinct supply advantage. He has a worker advantage. Everything so far in this game really going in Dimaga's favor. Now, it does look like Happy going to attempt emphasis on the attempt to take a third base. And I say attempt because, look, he has 2 siege tanks, 8 marines. That is not enough to do anything, really, in a defensive position with a third base on the way. So Dimaga, if he decides to attack here, could easily do a lot of damage to Happy. I don't know if he realizes just how far ahead he is, but he's playing it very safe. May try and scout this out with his Zergling, but you can see he is going to attempt to finish the game here. I mean, he has 26 Zerglings on the way. The Infestors are all going to be spawning with fungal growth, and he could very easily go for Nidus Worms inside the main base as well. That's something that could easily pick apart a Terran player who just does not have the amount of units that he should. But Dimaga now producing 9 drones, a +1 attack is on the way for Happy, and he also has 1 Viking on the way. I'm not sure exactly what the point of that singular Viking is going to be. Maybe just hunt some Overlords, try and see exactly what his opponent's doing. Plus, you can keep him over the army. Now, Happy needs to be careful with this army. The SCV getting in on the action, and not sure what that SCV was doing in that army. However, he was saved by the medevac. Drops the SCV, and Happy says, get out of here. Go do the one thing you're good at, and that is mining minerals. We do have the 4th base on the way for Dimaga. I wouldn't be surprised if he took a 5th base, just because, I mean, he's so far ahead, man. He's working on Ultra, so he's going to need that gas. He has the Crackling upgrade, just finishing Neural Parasite as well. And, yeah, man, this is looking really good for a Zerg player right now. And Happy, though, is not too far behind in the supply. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there will be Ultras on the way. But I will say that I feel like Dimaga may have sat back a little too long. There's that poor Viking. All he wants to do is kill a couple Overlords, and now he's going to get taken out by Fungal Growth and those Infestors, completely destroyed there. Could have Neural Parasited as well and landed it. That's always fun to see. So, I mean, what is going to happen next? This is, unfortunately for Happy, he was forced, I would say, to upgrade this to a Planetary Fortress because he was so far behind in the supply and the tech. We do have an armory on the way as well as 6 supply depots. So I'm not sure what he plans to do with all those supply depots at once, but he will be able to lock down this expansion. Dimaga needs to run his units over here. It does look like he'll load them inside the medevac. He's just able to kill an Overlord, prevent any mining there for a little bit. And look at what Dimaga is doing. He's sending these Infestors back into the main base while the Zerglings run over here. So if the medevac decides to go inside the main base, well, there's a huge, massive, large, I don't know any other words, big army waiting for him there of Infestors, just a Fungal Growth, all that. And look at this. He is scanning here to clean up these. And really, I think it's just because he doesn't have enough bases to even warrant dropping mules. So he's got to try and prevent the Zerg player from creeping. But look at how much creep is on the map. He has been on top of it. So Dimaga just doing really well. Look at this. Got to be getting some defenses here, which is something that a lot of Zerg players have started doing. It is so good. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more go down as well. We have 6 Ultras on the way with chitinous plating and +3 armor, as well as +3 attack on the way. So I would definitely give the tech advantage and the everything advantage, including the cool amount of Infestors advantage, to Dimaga right now, as he's just getting everything in the book. He's going to have most upgrades that he needs fairly soon in the next couple of minutes, and it's going to be up to Happy to try and just combat this. But, I mean, his upgrades, look at this upgrade. 1 attack upgrade for these Marines. He literally upgraded them from Nerf darts to squirt guns, while the Zerg army is at 5 armor on the Ultras, almost with that 6th armor upgrade, and the +3 attack on the way. So, I mean, if you're shooting Ultras with squirt guns, I mean, what do you expect to happen here? So I don't know what Happy can do. Now, he does have a lot of siege tanks, which is very important, because siege tanks do that additional damage versus those Ultras, but again, he just does not have the upgrades that he needs. I mean, really, it's only 19 minutes into a game. A Zerg player usually does not have that many upgrades this early in the game. However, there are a couple Marines in here going to be going for several kills, and seemingly going to be getting them, as Dimaga just not in position to deal with this. I don't think he realizes that he's losing these drones. Now he does. 2 Ultras versus 2 Marines. We'll see who ends up winning this battle. So far, the Marines, though, because the Ultras are getting stuck on that Queen. And there we go, finally going to clean those up. Medevac has to get out of there. I think that Medevac was literally following an Ultra, probably just making fun of them from the air. And yeah, a lot of siege tanks now. So it's got to come down to the positioning of the siege tanks, and it's very, very wise for Happy right now to sit back until he's maxed, because at this point, if he moves out when he's not maxed, I mean, he's got to get completely crushed. Which is why I think as this game progresses forward, we're going to see Happy just slowly attempting to move out with a large army and secure his fourth. I don't know if a giant death ball of siege tanks and marines is going to be what it takes. Now, he is going to try and do multiple drops, which is worth it. This marine getting left behind, probably, honestly, in StarCraft, it's better to get left behind. 3 marines in here. That's going to get fungal growth and locked down. So these 3 marines really do not stand a chance. At the same time, though, there is going to be a... Oh, this marine's like, yeah, you better run away, Zerg. Literally scaring that entire Zerg army. Here comes another drop right now. Just wants to make sure to drop away from the spine crawler. I feel like he meant to put units in here and wasn't able to. Trying to kill a couple units there, and he will run away before the fungal growth can trap him. Scanning there to make sure he's not going to get taken out by that. And workers killed 15. But again, if we look at the units tab, 85 or 82 SCVs to 65. So Dimaga really doesn't have that much income, but it doesn't even matter because look, 4,700 resources there. Yeah, he's got quite a bit of money to kick around. He could literally buy a bunch of condos for all these Ultralists to stay inside of while he just kind of sits back and waits. So I think it's going to be Happy's turn to move out here. Both players literally have thousands of each resource, so it looks like he's just going to be throwing down every tech structure in the book. Spire, Hydralistin, Roachhorn, all at the same time. Missile level 1 is on the way, so we'll see if he's able to get those upgrades up in time. And the Command Center is going to land here. Needs to burrow one of these Zerglings. It's not going to happen, though, as Dimaga will not be able to delay that expansion. Command Center lands unchecked and may upgrade that into a planetary fortress. Now, this is an interesting place for a Watchtower, a very safe place, but it's a place that's not going to see too much. Only really Zergling run-bys and things like that, as his army is now in position in the center of the map. I think that Broodlords are probably the best choice for Dimaga right now, and he seems to agree. And everyone's looking at him. And do you ever feel like everyone in an army is watching you? Because that's what that Ultra is feeling there. But yes, Broodlords, I would say, are the best choice. That's a pretty good position for a sensor tower there. And looks like Happy's going to be moving out here. Will Dimaga engage this directly? Now, if he can attack this when the siege tanks are not sieged, that could prove to be effective with the splash damage on the Ultras. Because you got to remember, Ultras do that splash damage in front of them, and tanks do clump up, not as much as you might like, I mean, not as much as other units, but they clump up more than you might think. So it can be effective if they're all just kind of hotkeyed to one group, which it seems the Marines and the siege tanks are on separate hotkeys. So this needs to make sure to keep those split up. Here's a bunch of bunkers with no Marines inside of them. So here comes the attack right now, and can the Zerglings do enough? There's a missile turret there. That missile turret surprisingly well placed there. And the Ultra's got to try and clean this up, but it looks like Happy will be able to lock this down once he gets up here. Is there going to be lots of fungal growth on these siege tanks? Here come the Ultras, and I think these Ultras are going to melt away instantly. He does need a fungal growth as many of these units as he can. He is, however, going to be unloading this army on top of the Terran army. Kind of hard to see who's going to win here. I believe the Terran will come out ahead. And that was literally an Ultralist drop that will get cleaned up by these Marauders, though. Marauders going to be doing 24 damage versus those Zerg units. Zerglings, though, are what you need to show in a battle like this towards the end to clean it up. And Dimaga says, well, here you go, Husky. Here's all my Zerglings to kill this off. And he will indeed. The only survivors, those 4 Marauders. It has got to be a bloody mess inside of that medevac right now. 4 Marauders just bleeding all over the place. That's got to be zero fun. I also love how the medevac heals units on the ground, but it's not any. There's no one inside to heal them up, so they literally have to get out. They boot them out of the medevac onto the ground so they can get healed. I don't understand the technology either, so your guess is as good as mine. So another orbital command going to be flying over here as this did get cleaned up, but you know, no big deal. Dimaga's going to be following it up with 11 Ultralists. He is already maxed out, where our Terran player is at 152 supply, and I'm honestly surprised not seeing more Broodlords. But he does have, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see because he's giving time for Happy to get out Vikings. You can see 2 starports are going to be on the way and all of that, but it may be an overreaction by Happy should he decide to make way too many Vikings to go against that. But the problem for a Zerg player is anti-air versus all those Vikings, because Ultras don't shoot air. I mean, they literally could, I don't know, 1 Ultra, or like 20 Ultras would be killed by 1 Void Ray. But here comes a major attack. Dimaga, I don't think, wants to commit to this. He's got to run up here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back out, although he wants that splash damage on these units so bad. But, I mean, this many Ultras in such a small space, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Dimaga is deciding it is, and it's going to be running in here. And what's this reinforcing unit? 1 Infestor saying, like, wait for me, guys. Wait for the battle. Although, really, Dimaga's running these units into the choke. Doesn't even kill the expansion. And so this army will get taken out. These Hydras are doing a lot of damage, though. as they only had that +1 range attack. +2 is nearly completed, though, and the fungal growth on here, not going to even kill off any of those medevacs. I don't know what that was by Dimaga, but that he was trying to end that with a major, just like a 1-2 KO punch, like just sending all of the, it wasn't even a 1-2, it was just like a 1 punch to the face. But really, he left this expansion up and running, was not able to kill this expansion, and when I be by this expansion, I mean one mining geyser, but didn't even kill this orbital, which will allow for mule drops. This Zergling right here, preemptively knowing that there's going to be something going on over here. These poor SCVs are left alone with 3 Zerglings. These are like the annoying triplets, only they can kill you, and yeah, this will get locked down. Cleaned up by the Zerglings. Our Zerg player does have burrow. I don't know why he's not burrowing them at the expansions. But this command center should be landing here, but they're completely undefended. These Zerglings should be able to clean that up easily. And literally, this command center has just given up on life, is not even going to land for these SCVs. So they're going to travel all the way home. And you know what? SCVs are going to be happy about it, because SCVs do whatever you tell them to. And they are so well behaved. Unlike in StarCraft 1, man. Oh, God, they were so misbehaved, like they would just not do anything. Now it does look like Happy able to protect these SCVs, and the important thing is having a mule party over here. This mule, though, is kind of the antisocial one, but this will help his income quite a bit. You can see, going to be skyrocketing ahead of the Zerg player. At the same time, it does look like this drop over here is going to get held off. It did a little bit of damage, but Dimaga has never gotten a critical amount of expansions. I mean, yes, he has a lot of money. Yes, he has really all the tech units in the book, but he's never had complete map expansion control, if that kind of makes sense. Usually a Zerg player in this situation will have so many expansions, but he threw away so many units, he's now forced to rebuild those, and that is costing him larva and costing him valuable time. He does have 6 ultras on the way. Happy now with +2 attack, does not have that +3 completed. Reinforcements have arrived, though, and by arrived, I mean just get completely slaughtered there. They were attempting to arrive, but they did get intercepted. The siege tank placement pretty good. However, they have been left completely undefended, so there's no units here. He's going to try and focus down this hatchery. He may stem and run to the left to take out that hatchery as well. And the income right now for our Zerg player is virtually nothing. All these drones will be destroyed. No, it's surprisingly, it looks like Dimaga going to be running down here so quickly that this army is forced to run away. Fungal growth on so many air units. All these units are now as good as dead, unless there's not enough infestors here, which there's not. So they're like, okay, guys, that was a close call, but just don't even worry about it, guys, because we made it out alive. No big deal. So it looks like, actually that is a huge deal, obviously, just kind of making fun of the units, but there are 4 Marauders in here, which if dropped back here could potentially kill yet another hatchery. Income tab, though, is looking so good for our Terran player. The mules have been refreshed here, so I mean, when you're a mule, man, the party just goes on all night long. So, and not really, though, because you only last for like 30 seconds. 90 seconds, excuse me. Sorry, I shouldn't be biased versus mules. They last 90 seconds. So they are crazy partiers, though. Anyways, it does look like these Marauders have been dropped back here. We'll be able to kill off the Zerglings. Now that they do have that +3 attack, we'll be able to do something. And we'll probably have to load them inside the medevacs. Don't think he's going to be able to get this hatchery. May go for an extractor, but that's going to be all he can get. The fungal growth not going to be in time. Infestors so slow, inching their way. Oh, it's so close. Nope, not going to be able to get it. And these infestors don't want to go on that shady-looking bridge, which could collapse at any time. So they're going to sit back there, not able to get that fungal growth off. So it is now 197 supply to 184. This game has been going on for 32 minutes and has definitely been essentially non-stop action. The nice thing, though, that the Zerg player, Dimaga, has going for him is all this creep, just giving him so much vision. Looks like another drop over here. These Marauders got 2 just kind of in over their heads, and this medevac could escape barely with 9 HP. And these Marines trying to just clean out some creep tumors, which really there's so many now. It may be a lost cause. May just have to get a Raven. But even then, with that many creep tumors, what can you do against a Zerg player? Because by the time you kill them all, they're just all killing you with tons of units. And lifting off this orbital command, looks like double expansions on the way for Happy. In the left side, you can see 2 command centers on the way, and unfortunately Happy really needs a planetary fortress here. It's just that he can't, so because he already has upgraded that one. So if we do look at the workers killed, 30 to 40, and the units tab is going to show 52 drones to 46 SCVs, so about the same. Dimaga, unfortunately, is forced to remake those drones, which is less larva for other units that he would much prefer getting, much rather prefer getting, and he hasn't been able to grab another expansion, so the income tab 1,400 to 900, but once these expansions are up and running, Happy will be back in the game, and here comes yet another mule party. I just wish I could start playing techno music. Misclicking half of those mules, and they are going to get taken out, so I'm going to have to lift this off once again. Literally, these mules were the most cost-ineffective mules I think I've ever seen. That looks kind of cool, I'm sorry. I love the doodads in StarCraft 2. And the mules, though, have now revealed the location of this expansion, so that'll get locked down, forced to lift off as well. This command center, is he upgrading it to a planetary? I was going to laugh so hard if he upgraded it to a planetary to kill these rocks. I don't know if I've ever seen a planetary fortress attack rocks. There's always something new in this game that I haven't seen, but here comes the Marauders right now. This is something I have seen before, is Marauders killing a building. Look how quickly 4 Marauders will be able to lock this down, especially with STEM, and there you go, using it right there. That hatchery is going to go down, and a couple of drones as well. But I love how they do so much less damage to drones. 2 volleys on that drone, and he still survived because of that +3 armor. But that drop is going to get away. And he's like, literally, this is my command order, is to zigzag everywhere like this. But we'll see exactly what he does with it. He's going to drop it right here. So Happy, he is multitasking like crazy, doing everything he can to just keep Dimaga running everywhere. Because Dimaga did have a huge advantage there for a little while. But Happy has done everything in his power to kind of keep Dimaga in check. And this drop is going to be the least amount of units that you can possibly fit in 4 Overlords. Look at this, the Ultralisk just taking up all the space. And, I mean, really, that's like a personal jet at that point. In StarCraft 2, you could fit 2 Ultras in there, but Ultras weren't nearly as good. Although they did sound awesome when they were eating up a bunch of Marines. Just the attack sound was so gruesome. I almost felt bad. And now we have 2 Orbitals over here. The rocks still remain, as Happy hasn't been able to sneak over there to destroy those rocks, but it does... Oh, just killed his own medevac. No big deal, as no one liked that medevac anyways. I think it was a medevac. Might have been a Viking, but either way. Literally scanning just to kill a couple of those. But here comes the attack right now. Now, Dimaga, don't do it! He is going to run into this huge siege line. This is probably the worst angle I have ever seen. Although he is going to do a lot of damage to these tanks. You want to keep an eye on the supply. Is Dimaga going to bust through here with some micro from Happy? I think he could hold it off, but, I mean, Dimaga will do some damage to that army. One Overlord here trying to sprint out of here with the Ultralisk inside of him. That is not going to happen, though. This drop continuing over here. These Marauders, man, they are just the 4 amigos, just locking down expansions left and right. They're going to try and get this hatchery. It looks like they will. The medevac trying to shoot her healing beam as quickly as possible. One more rocket would have gotten that 5 HP remaining on that building. This hatchery over here will get taken out, though, so Dimaga barely hanging on with one of his last remaining mining bases. You can see this one's quickly running out. And the supply count's 133 to 146. Production tab shows Siege Tank upgrade level 3 on the way. However, Dimaga going to respond with +3 attack upgrade range of his own. 9 Ultras on the way, as well as some Infestors. I feel like Broodlords may be a good choice once again, just because it would force Happy to have to remake those, the Vikings, because, I mean, he's going to be making a lot of Marines just because look at the amount of money he has. So difficult to have gas in this situation, as it looks like this Overlord just pooping on everyone's parade, literally. And Dimaga finally catching some units out of position with these Zerglings is going to trap them, allowing the Ultras to do their thing. And that is the Hugs of Death. Fungal Growth will finally be used effectively to clean those up. There is not enough, though, and the Infestors were not able to trap all these medevacs. If Dimaga can just kill these medevacs, that would be huge, because there's 5 medevacs right there, which there's only 6 in all on the map, and these drops have got to stop, as Dimaga just taking so much damage from them. And here comes a continuing drop up here. Only 3 Marauders this time, but that is enough to kill a hatchery. And once again, lifting this up, this Overlord Command is going to have the buffest legs, as he has landed and lifted off so many times. Could Fungal Growth on these random medevacs who are in the wrong part of town. Man, didn't they listen? You do not want to go there. That's a bad side of town. And it does look like these Marauders in good position here to prevent these Zerglings from getting us around. And the hatchery could easily get taken out. The Zerglings are so stupid, they would rather just run into minerals than defend the swarm. There we go. He is going to get us around. And it does look like these Marauders finally going to go down. I feel like they're taking like 1 damage once they have that +3 armor upgrade. The Ultras here are going like, okay, go ahead and try and land. We'll see what happens. And this is a wonky base if I've ever seen one. Long distance mining here because of these rocks, but Happy just has not had the chance to kill them at all. The drop is going to continue down here, as this hatchery was the one that got taken out with that 5 HP. So that did finally get cleaned up. Looks like there's going to be another drop from Happy over here. How many times have I said the word drop? I honestly don't even want to know, as there's just been so many drops by Happy. Look at this, forcing Dimaga to run everywhere. It's not usual to see a Zerg player have to run around. And if we look at the amount of drones lost, if we bring it up here, it is going to be 44 to 40. And that does mean an identical amount of workers now in this game, which will be favoring the Terran player because they do have those mules. And so poor Dimaga, I almost feel bad that Happy is doing so much harassment. I mean, he literally is just dropping left and right, literally to the left, to the right, to the left, and even dropping a couple Marauders over here. These Marauders just take so much damage. Look at how long it takes a complete army of Zerglings to kill them. And does he? I believe he has the Crackling upgrade, right? He should have that. Yes, he does. All of the Ultralisk upgrades are completed as well. And maybe Broodlords are the answer right now. He doesn't have that much money, though, and so I feel like if we look at the income tab, should be favoring the Terran. It is, although one of his main mining bases out of 2 is sort of long distance, so it's not the most efficient mining, especially since he has so many SCVs, and he is now maxed out. He really could use that supply on something else. This army looking pretty terrifying, but nothing a few fungal growths can't even the score on, and this is a lot of infestors. He does have that burrow, and so if he can sneak them up on this army and just pop up fungal growth and run away while the Zerglings are just taking the heat, then, I mean, this game could turn around quickly. Especially with 2 expansions on the way. One right here, one just finished somewhere, and the one down in the bottom left side is now fully up and running. So Dimaga now should be evening out the mining just a little bit. There is some mule action going on, and I'm assuming there's some mules. Where are they at? There they are, mining here. This Zergling just snickering that he is delaying the mining of those mules. And fungal growth on this entire army is mind controlling a little bit, but the siege tank gets taken out almost immediately, and fungal growth up here as well, using the infestors. Finally, again, using a lot of fungal growth, but it's just not enough. I mean, fully upgraded siege tanks with the damage as well as fully upgraded Marauders are so difficult to deal with. They probably will force a scan for this one Zergling, which is exactly the kind of stuff he needs to do. Even transferring over a couple of SCVs from this terrible long-distance mining location to yet another terrible long-distance mining location. And so there they are. They're going to go ahead and arrive right now. Now, Dimaga definitely lost that battle, but he's definitely doing good on the income right now with 5 infestors, 4 Ultralisks going to be on the way. This game is so ridiculous. I think every expansion at some point, aside from this one, has been taken, and maybe the one on the right side. Just showing you how rarely these expansions are actually used, as neither player has been able to take them. Here comes a drop over here. Happy cannot even afford to fully load these medevacs, and the drones, thankfully for Dimaga, will escape. He really can't afford to continue producing those. Will run a couple of Zerglings over here, so these SCVs will get taken out, although they do have that +3 armor, making them fairly resilient. Not as resilient as this army, though, as it was able to take out that hatchery. So Dimaga, he just cannot catch a break at all with all these drops going on. Here's another drop. This is the drop happiest game I have ever seen. Literally, this amount of drops should be illegal because this is just bad for your health at this point. And this drone will probably be turned into a hatchery once again. However, Dimaga does have a nice little healthy expansion down here now that is going completely unchecked. So the drop right here will prevent any long-distance mining, but there's really nothing there to kill right now. Drones have been transferring all over the place, left and right. This expansion, though, for Dimaga, I mean, he just locked down the equivalent of the one up here for the Terran player. So now Dimaga, I think, will start getting a slight advantage. But the difference is that Happy has had an advantage macro-wise for a long time. So he has 3,000 resources up here that he can spend on anything. The problem he needs is Vespine gas, which he is mining out of these 2. Only 500 remaining there. Mining out of these 2, he has a couple thousand, and he needs to get this one up and running. The Zergling is not going to allow that to happen, though, as Dimaga locking down simultaneously 2 expansions with only 4 Zerglings. However, this army, man, this game's such back and forth. We are at 47 minutes now into this game. Here comes another drop from Happy, and Happy, I would feel, needs to do some damage here in the next 3 to 4 minutes, because otherwise Dimaga is going to just continue mining, especially once both these expansions get up and running. So right now, Happy does have an opportunity here. Did lose, it looks like, some of that army, and the remainder of it is going to try and fly away. Is there any infestors here? Yes, there are, so the medevac trying to escape out of there will most likely drop it right here. His APM is consistently over 200 throughout this game, which, I mean, a game going on this long. Oh no, Happy finally losing his expansion up here on the top left side. This is his last mining base. every SCV will go down. Now, this is going to free up supply for this death ball that we see marching out right now, and you can see him. He's already starting to use that supply. 3 Marauders, 1 Siege Tank, a bunch of Marines. So if Dimaga can hold off this push, I feel like he'll win this game simply because he's going to have an expansion advantage. But there are so many units now, especially the drop right here, killing every single drone at this expansion. Dimaga has not done anything about it. He's going to attempt to run here. A couple of Zerglings going to be attacking here, so this should be a sandwich attack. And these Zerglings are going the wrong way. Nope, Dimaga decides not to engage this. Look at this. This is a huge belt of siege tanks that would be nearly impossible to kill. Oh no, every single drone there. 70 workers killed to the 82. So Dimaga is still mining from this location. This is still anyone's game, especially with these SCVs completely vulnerable. This expansion could get locked down as well. This is anyone's game at this point. I feel like Happy will have a slight advantage because now he's pushing into the location. Here goes the last mining base of Dimaga. Is Dimaga going to counterattack? Probably not, because he has nothing to kill flying units around the base. And here goes the drone massacre of 2011 as they do get taken out as well. These siege tanks, if there was just a couple of broodlords right here, would be completely dead. Dimaga, I don't think, can do anything right now. The only thing he could try and do is run into the Terran player base. I was going to say I should bring out the production tab. Spoiler alert, I do have the production tab open. It's just no one is making anything because this game is so tense. And this army right here needs to be careful. He could fungal growth all of these Marines, so Happy definitely wants to be careful here. If he can get fungal growth on these Marines, then he just needs to clean out the siege tanks. That's not going to happen, though, as the infestors all get taken out before they can do any sort of damage. Dimaga is going to try and end it right here. The infestors are in the back. However, they are so slow, they're not going to do their full effect. And look at the split of Happy, keeping his units completely spread out. I think that is going to be the last breath of Dimaga, and it is indeed. Dimaga going to GG. Both players fly out of this game instantly. The remainder of these players just kind of checking out. They were spectating that entire time. So, wow, I definitely would say that Dimaga had a huge lead early on, and then Happy was just like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and drop you 35 times and make you run back and forth. And I would say, I would say that Dimaga, some of the angles were questionable, but I feel like the biggest thing that Dimaga suffered from was not doing what a lot of Zerg players do these days and get a ridiculous amount of static defense. Look, you can see he did it here, but he never really did that here or at any of his other bases. And I mean, that is something. I mean, this expansion, where is it? This expansion was basically here for most of the game, and that shows you how effective it is. I mean, you can use 4 drones and the cost of these buildings, but you don't lose the expansions, especially. It buys you time during those drops. When there is just 5 Marines or 4 Marauders or something, it buys you time to run over there to defend. So Happy able to punish Dimaga for that. And wow, a 50-minute game. A lot of these games I've been casting lately, man, super epic and super long. So maybe I can find some epic shorter games, because these long games definitely take it out of you. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. This game was phenomenal, and I will see you guys next time.